Guys, I want to talk about the fire bow drill I've been working on at the moment. I've just started out pretty much with the fire bow, and I wanted to increase my chances of success and reduce my stress levels, because I had tried it with carving just a spindle out of a single piece of wood, and I was then worried that I'd used the wrong type of wood, and there was lots of little things going on in my mind. So I wanted to reduce the time it was going to take me to sort of carve another set and increase my chances of success. So here I have what I've developed. Basically, it's just a prototype, so it's very rough, but we've got a spindle. I've then taken a steel rod, and it's slightly off center, but I've put it in a drill and used the file to just make that into a kind of point. Nothing too aggressive, obviously, just something that's going to hold where I need it to hold. Then I made a bearing block out of oak, and what I did was I sunk a screw into this after it was chamfered, and then I used the countersunk bit to just get rid of the fins of the screw, the Phillips screw, so it's just turned into like a round indentation which accepts the pin very nicely, and it's very, very frictionless. You know, that was spin, and it doesn't heat up or anything. Originally, when I used this oak, it was heating up and starting to burn into this, and it was messing around with me. So I was getting annoyed, let's say. So to further the idea, what I thought was to, rather than having just this as the spindle being one piece, the drill being one piece, I thought I was going to drill a hole into here and then use my saw to just cut some fins in there. So it was going to create a sort of vice-like effect, if you can see that. So basically, the idea being it was reusable, because obviously it's a lot harder carving yourself a whole new spindle than it is to just carve little plugs. It gives you a chance to experiment with lots of different woods when you're starting out. This being a hazel plug, and this started off as something quite long, but as I was going, it was wearing down. So I thought to myself, okay, so this literally, you don't have to retie this like I thought each time. I've just tied it once, carved that into a slight angle, as you can see, and then that literally, that sits into there. But because this has been bound, which is easily undoable, it's just literally wrapped around with some Hessian cord, that will stop the wood from splitting any further. So that just sits in there nicely, and it gives me the chance that, say the hazel didn't work out, I could just quickly grab another wood type, plug it in there, and I've already got myself a nice spindle ready to go with a bearing block, which is very frictionless, and so it's like a reusable tip. So all I would need to really find when I was out and about, I could take this, which is nice and lightweight really, is a bow, easily found, and whatever wood I was planning on trying to use. But yeah, far easier to make new versions of these than it is making a whole new one. So that was just another idea that I don't think I've seen anywhere else. So give us a shout if you try this out, and let me know how you get on with it. But I've also got another idea I want to show you, which I'll go into now. Cheers. Right then guys, this is the idea I come up with. It's for a knife strop. Obviously you can buy these on eBay and various other places, but it's literally just usually a piece of wood with a bit of leather mounted on top, which allows you to obviously strop your knife and hone your edge to finish off the sharpening process. Well, a little idea I come up with was to basically make a recess. Excuse the dirtiness, this is just from the sharpening stone, but if you can see, there's like a carved out edge here, which I'm looking to sort of put into production. I'm trying to contact a few people to see if they'd be interested in developing this idea with me. But what it is basically lots of people own these Falknerman DC4 sharpening stones. Fantastic little stones, particularly if you've got one of the older models. The newer ones aren't as good a quality, I would say. I think a few people would agree with me on that. But what you've got is a diamond stone one side and a nice ceramic to finish off your knife edge on. You can get your knife to a real razor sharp edge with this alone. But for that extra honing ability, it's always good to have a bit of leather to be able to strop your knife on, particularly if you've got like a Scandi grind. They can be notoriously difficult to sharpen in the field. You normally would sharpen them with a Japanese waterstone, but obviously that's not quite practical when you're in out and about, let's say. So the idea is you've got this piece of leather mounted onto a piece of wood, but with the recess in it, the idea is the fork nibble actually sits inside. And like I say, this is only a prototype. It's an idea I've been messing around with for a while. This did actually fit in very, very tightly, but as it stands, it's become a bit loose where the wood has obviously it's expanded on me a bit. But the idea I wanted to show you was I've developed this even further now. So I've put two holes that are countersunk both sides, and I've also got two holes to actually house the screws. The idea being was it can take these stainless steel screws and you can take them out into the field with you as just one neat package that will obviously fit into your little, your Bushcraft kit bag. So you would select a log. Obviously when you're trying to sharpen on a log, you've got this sort of rounded surface, and you're always going to find a tree stump that's in like a perfectly flat level surface for you to actually get sharpening your stone on. Ray Mears is recommended to take two nails and plunge them in, but you still have that same problem of this potentially rocking on you. So this is where this idea comes in. So obviously the stainless steel screws are removable, so I can just literally take them out there from both sides with your Leatherman's tool, which most will carry. And there's one screw and there's two screws, just so you don't obviously lose them. Okay, so being a prototype, it's a bit rough, but it's trying to communicate the idea across really. So right, two screws there. Roll up to your log and obviously mount your leather strop. Being that it's leather, it does provide a bit of a nice grip onto the log anyway, and makes up for any of the small little imperfections that no doubt a log would have. And you just get to screwing these in using the countersink to your advantage, obviously, so the screw is not protruding and you're not going to bang your knife onto it, because that'd be rather counterproductive. Take your other screw, and again using the countersunk hole, and just drive this screw home. Obviously being careful not to over tighten it, you don't want to split your wood. So as you can see, that's mounted on there pretty nicely there. Okay, so then you take your Falkniven DC4 or whatever stone, you could develop this for any stone, even the Spyderco, and then that literally turns into something quite familiar now. It starts to look like an actual sharpening stone that you might have in your workshop. But obviously, because this is a prototype, this has got a bit of a rattle in there, so I'm just going to insert this little wooden shim. So yeah, I would probably make a slightly bigger version of this for the final design, and obviously make those grooves slightly higher so the Falkniven can actually get clipped into there nicely. But now that is fairly secure on there, and you can obviously take even a Scandi grind and get sharpening it as you would do normally at home on a bench. So the beauty of this, obviously, this design is obviously that you can then flip it over and use the ceramic edge to start really honing. If you've got a little bit of wobble there, again, you can just use a shim underneath or a nice piece of wood just to steady that out, stop it rocking as much. Yeah, so you get the idea. You can start putting the polish back on it. Obviously this section I've mainly worked on. Yeah, this is a Bushcraft knife I made a few years ago now. Got some firework on the back with an oak handle. It needs a bit of attention, as you can see. I let it sit in the sheath and get a bit rusty over the years. I hadn't got it out for a number of years, but it made a nice little neck knife. It's quite small in the hand, and I think it's only 3mm steel, so quite a nice lightweight Scandi grind Bushcraft knife there. But again, so once we've finished with the main work on the blade, we can take the strop off, and then because it's countersunk both sides, my wife will go crazy if she sees this log inside my house, so I'm just doing this while she's out at the moment. Okay, take that out, flip the screws, because it's countersunk both sides, like I say, and do the same. Start using it as a strop. Try and line up with them same holes, make life easy for myself. At the end of the day, this might seem fiddly, but what you've got to remember is having an ultra sharp knife in the field pays dividends for you. It cuts down your work in the long run, because you're not putting as much pressure on all your cuts, and it just makes working with your tools, you know, a joy rather than being a struggle. It also makes them safer, because everyone knows that you're more likely to cut yourself with a blunt knife than you are a very sharp one. So yeah, so then you can just take the strop and use it, absolutely no problem. And this isn't loaded up with any of that Smurf poo stuff or anything, but it still gives it a nice effect. And it means you can actually pressure down on your sharpening without messing around, without things flying out everywhere. And really, it is just an ultra portable kit, you know? Ultra portable. Keeps your tools very, very sharp. Yeah, it's nice and sharp. But yeah, so that is the idea behind that one, guys. It's just, I feel like a neat little idea that will just see your kit kept in tip-top condition, and it's generally, and you know, it's a nice addition to a sharpening stone that most bushcrafters, let's say, will own already. Oh, my dog's coming to say hello. So, any ideas or suggestions you can add to this, I'll be interested in hearing. As I say, these screws quite neatly fit back into their little designated holes at the side, and that all tucks away for safekeeping until you're going to use it again. But more often than not, you'll only need to strop your knife if you've sharpened it well and you keep it in, you know, decent condition. You haven't pounded on it too much. Just a nice strop can just realign that edge for you. So yeah. So that and that together. Maybe put a plastic band, an elastic band around it or something, but they fit into the Bushcraft kit, no problem whatsoever. Right, peace guys, Unstoppable Tramp out.